Hey, this is Eric from Replacire, and we're going to talk about our first concerts. Mine was Ozfest, and I don't remember what year, but I went with a family friend, one of my mom's best friends. Her name was MB, and I was very insistent on getting there as soon as it started, and it was like 9 in the morning. There was a band on the second stage, and I stood there and I watched all the bands all day, and then we went to the main stage and watched those bands, and I remember being like, I don't know, I was probably 12 or 13 or something, seeing people like throwing up and, you know, chicks with their shirts off and like, you know, these bands playing this awesome metal, and it was the coolest thing ever. It was great. I remember Hatebreed played. I was into hardcore at the time, and I remember they were really cool. I actually went and I got a CD, and I think they signed it. They gave me like a big handful of buttons, and I don't know, it was cool. It was cool. It was good vibes.
So my first concert ever was when I was a child. My dad took me to see Ray Charles. I was an infant. And Ray Charles was still alive. My first like metal show, like as a kid, when I was in high school, I saw Tool and Meshuggah play together. I lived in Oklahoma. We didn't really get a ton of shows. And my parents weren't really letting me go to shows yet when I was still in high school. So it was at a big stadium type arena thing, and I had a floor spot. Meshuggah was flawless. And Tool was really sick as well. I don't know, it was a packed show. People were getting all kinds of like Oklahoma style drunk. You know, if you don't know what that means, it's kind of hard to explain. And yeah, that's really all there is to it, to be honest.
What's up, I'm Joey from Replacire, and my first concert was, I think I was 12 or 13, and my dad took me to see Linkin Park. And my dad was actually really into the band with me, and we always listened to them growing up. So that was my first concert. It was awesome. It was in a huge stadium, and rest in peace to Chester Bennington. He kicked ass that night. His vocals were unparalleled, and I was extremely impressed. And then after that, a couple years later, my uncle took me to Mayhem Fest. That was my first big metal show, and that's when I was getting into Slipknot and Whitechapel and all those kind of bands. So it was my first time seeing all those awesome bands that I listened to growing up, middle school and high school, and it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. And yeah, I went every year since until they stopped doing it. So hopefully it comes back, but we'll see.
My first show ever was at a bar called the Continental, and I don't think that exists anymore in NYC, and it was a punk band called Darkbuster, and ironically a Boston band. And I remember they were all really nice to me, and you know, I was 14 years old, so I was like way too stoked to be there, and that was a very memorable experience. But then my first metal show was at the Hammerstein Ballroom, and that was 2006, Lamb of God, Trivium, Machine Head, and most importantly to me, Gojira. And just seeing Gojira going through From Mars to Sirius album cycle for the first time, being a 16-year-old kid, was like a big holy shit moment. So that was very memorable for me. And then a random chick made out with me, so that was cool. 16-year-old me. Yeah.
I guess my first show was Def Leppard. It was, I think, 1996 or 5. My dad bought the tickets, and I didn't know what was going on because I was so young. But it was a very cool experience. I fell asleep, and I don't know. It was great though. It was I guess the biggest takeaway was that I was so overwhelmed by how close they sounded to the original recording, and ever since then I've always thrived to make a live show as close as possible to the recording for audiences to feel that overwhelming feeling that I had.